The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today in the FCS Direct to Success program. Today's topic is going to be creating takeoffs inside of FCS Direct using multiple options to perform your takeoff here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and search for my properties. I'm going to go ahead and look for the property today for today's demonstration. As you can see here within the property, I have some options in my timeline, but I've already created some inspections to get started with. I've created 3 separate inspections. I'm going to show you today how to take takeoffs using 3 separate methods. We have the draw option, the using a blueprint or a plan takeoff option, and of course the direct grid tool. I'm going to go ahead and start with the direct draw tool. Go ahead and select it here. And at the end of the entire process, we're going to be able to create a document that looks just like this here. So we can go ahead and take all of our measurements, capture all the information, and actually create a document that we can share with our client when we're doing our proposal. I'm going to go ahead and select direct drawing here from my options. When the system loads here, you can see I have 3 separate choices. I can insert an image, use Google Maps, or plot on a grid. For the direct draw tool, I'm going to go ahead and select use Google Maps. The system's going to go ahead and locate our property based on the address that we entered. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here on my property. I'm going to select capture so I have a good background image that I want to go ahead and take a takeoff off. I'm going to go ahead and select a straight line here on the property to go ahead to set my scale. I can zoom in if I want a better view. Select my pin here on the right and simply draw a straight line to set my scale. Select set scale here if I like the measurement here, if it's accurate or if I'm pretty sure that is the correct length, or I can override this number if I wanted to. But I'm going to go ahead and set scale. If I don't like the rotation of the image or if I wanted a different view, I can select the rotate 90 degrees button option. And it's going to go ahead and switch that image around for me so I can choose the best angle that I want to work with. I'm going to go ahead and set the original option and select complete setup. Once I select complete setup here, I get a list of all of my options that I can take for making measurements on this property here. I have everything from roof area, eave length, hip length, box vents, anything that I need to take a measurement for on this property, I can go ahead and take those measurements. We also have the option to add additional field conditions if I wanted to make something that doesn't exist, or if there's a special situation where I need to make a custom measurement here. But I'm going to go ahead and select roof area. And for the sake of time, this is a pretty straightforward roof section here, so I'm going to select it here on my crosshairs. I'm just going to turn off the snap grid option so I can go exactly where I want. I'm going to select my square drawing tool, select drop pin, and kind of just come across here so I can get that measurement here for the whole roof area. Again, this is a pretty simple section here that I want to take that measurement off of. I want to go ahead and add my pitch for this section. Say it's 412. I'm going to say highest point. So this way we can clearly label all the sections of our roof areas here. The next section I want to work on here is I'm going to go ahead and select this other area here, select my straight draw tool, drop my pin. This is a little more detailed. I'm going to zoom in, select my pin so I can continue editing here. Drop my pin in each corner. I can go ahead and get very detailed here with my drawing here so I can make sure I get all the cutouts and everything. If I wanted to go back a step because I didn't like the way a measurement came out, I can select the blue arrow plot and it's going to undo the plot for me. So I'm going to go ahead and make this line a little bit straighter. So when I'm finished, I'm going to select my Finish Shape button option here. It's going to highlight everywhere that I measured. And again, I'm going to add my pitch for this section of the roof. Let's say this roof section is a little bit different, so I'm going to make this one a 612. And I'm going to go ahead and finish out this drawing by doing the final section here. There's a little kick out here. Make sure I capture that. Now you can do a takeoff from a mobile device as well. It's highly recommended that you use at least a tablet to do this in the field if you wanted to. Just for screen size, it's a lot easier to work with. Go ahead and select that area. Again, I'm going to add my pitch. And as soon as I add my pitch, you'll notice that my square footage adjusts for the actual pitch. After I've gotten that here, I'm going to go ahead and start capturing my eaves. I want the eaves to really stand out, so it's a nice green color here, but if I select this option, I could choose a different color from the palette to make it stand out. I like this green color, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I'm going to start measuring out my eaves.
So you're looking at training day 1, sales admin training, correct? Okay, so that's the basic training. That's, the CRM tools is basically the database hierarchy that you just talked about. And you pretty much know that. So
this is going to overhang a little bit here, so I'm going to adjust for it. Drop the point here. I'm going to go ahead and label this garage.
That's in that first paragraph. We would do that.
And again, I'm going to go ahead and start measuring the eaves on this entire building.
So in other words, I don't really think. Right.
The process is exactly the same for commercial buildings. It's just a different image you're going to capture. And you have a different set of field measurements, things like parapet, wall height, gravel stops, parapet width. All the different measurements that you would need for a commercial building are available to you.
Definitely. I'll keep that in there. Put a note. Okay. Salesperson training.
As you can see here, you can rename each of the sections if you'd like.
Salespeople, and you're saying we don't really need to see them, correct?
You can say front, Eve. This way, when we're generating the report, everything is properly labeled for our customers.
How about quick bit? Okay. Now is this going to be just
Now, I'm going to go ahead and keep moving on here. I'm going to go to measures the hip lengths. Set my point on the hip.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's why I'm calling, because I want to make sure we're on the same page and we price this correctly and all that. All right. So now we're down to service training.
Go ahead and move on through here. These are my hips.
That's going to include your team, right?
Now, so when I hit the highlight button, I could see everything that I've measured here. Kind of want my hips to stand out a little bit more, so I'm actually going to go ahead and change the color on my hip. I'm going to go ahead and choose a orange. So this way it kind of really pops out for my client so they can see exactly where I measured.
Okay.
Capture my ridge length.
And then how many people do you think will be, how many attendees, how many service technicians will be with us? about. It's service technicians. Your guys. Yeah. So how many two-man crews?
I'm going to go ahead and set this up here. I could see everything that I've measured. I could turn it off to just focus on what I needed to. Now again, I just noticed right now that I had made a mistake here on my eaves. I counted eave. That's actually, that should be rake right here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to go ahead and remeasure that to get this right.
So what are you thinking? Okay. Now when you said 12,
I can highlight everything now, and I still have some rake to measure.
their helpers won't need this, right?
Look through my list of options here. Here's my rake length. Go ahead and find that area here. Run my measurement. Now for my rake, I want to add some pitch. So I'm going to select 412. A little bit of rake here on the side of the house. Again, I want to add my pitch.
It's a bit two totally independent things. I mean, we had that down below, but
So now I can clearly see that I've measured everything I want. The only thing I've forgotten so far is my box vents and my kitchen vent, and my bathroom vent actually. So I'm going to go ahead and select box vents. Set my pointer. Move on to my next box vent. And I'm going to go ahead and find my bathroom vent option here. Move over to the bathroom vent and select it. And then there's also a soil stack. So now I have everything clearly labeled here. All my measurements are taken. Again, last one more I've noticed that I've missed would be my valley.
and all these people will have. So the way I do this training is basically as we sit everybody down, I go through the service side with regards to.
So here's my valley length.
I'm not going to show them.
Now we could take a look and see. Now I have everything on a roof measured here. The biggest advantage to doing this is not only it'll save you a lot of time as opposed to going on a roof and capturing all these measurements, it'll also save you the cost of ordering an aerial report, as this tool is completely free for our contractors within the application. Let me go ahead and capture one more ridge here since I'm going to be detailed about this. Now I have everything measured here, and once we're done with everything, we can actually generate a little report for our clients. So I'm going to go up here in the upper right-hand corner, select Next Step, center my image, so I've got a nice image here. If I wanted to, I could remove the background image if I wanted a CAD style type drawing, but I think you have a nicer effect when you have that background image here. That way your client can really see how this lines up to their roof. So I'm going to go to Capture. The system's going to generate a report for me here. As soon as that generates for you, I'll show you what that looks like. So if you take a look at the drawing,
Right, but if they don't use it,
and it also gives you the details report here. So you can include this report in your proposal that you create for your client if you wanted to. I'm going to select Next Step now that I'm finished. And again, all of those measurements we just took are now going to feed into my measurements table to help me create an estimate. So there's no need for double entry. There's no reason to take this information, print it out, or do anything with it. Again, all of the work that was just done here is going to feed into our measurement table. We have other options that we can do besides doing an aerial takeoff, because sometimes you don't have, if it's new construction, if it's something off of blueprints or spec work, or in the event that there's too many trees, you have the option to actually upload and insert your own image.
They're only going to be able to see their own work.
So here's one example of the image that I use. I'm going to select no in this case. I'm going to select my direct drawing. In this time, I'm actually going to choose the insert an image option. I have an example PDF blueprint here, but this could be anything. This could be an image you took of the house as you're looking at it. If you're using a drone and you're actually able to capture images, or if you're able to get good aerial photos from an outside source, you can use those as well. The biggest thing with using an outside image or anything is setting our scale. In this example here, I've got a PDF file here. I know that this scale, based on a document, is 1/8 of an inch equals 1 foot, so I have a 1-inch line here. I'm going to set my crosshairs here. I'm going to go ahead and say this is 1 inch. I'm going to let the system know that that's actually equal to 8 linear feet. So now my scale is set properly. Again, same options. We can rotate the image if we'd like, but I'm going to select complete setup. Once our image is in here, we can start doing our takeoff, just like we did before. I'm going to turn off the grid snap so I have a little more control. Drop my pin and start performing my takeoff on this roof.
Right. Well, that's fine, but everyone in the room will be able to log into their device and perform service work on their phone. What I'm getting into is what kind of access outside of the capability to bring in the data.
If I wanted to get a little more detailed, I can always zoom in on my image to get a really clear view.
What else within the FCS program do you want them to see and use? And then the other question to that is, do you want them to just see their own work as it's assigned to them, or do you want them to be able to basically see everyone's work?
So now that my roof is done, I'm going to select pin here, and it's completed my square footage. I'm going to add the pitch that was given to me of a 612.
But you're only going to have 1 or 2 managers who will be able to.
And again, this is coming across at adjust. If I wanted to go ahead and already assume where I want to put my vents, I could place them on a point.
Yeah. Okay, so it's just something we can go over there. It won't take a lot of time, and I'm not going to add it to this. It's just something that I'll kind of keep as a side note while you and I discuss.
So you can take measurements on any of these images. If I wanted to take, for example, my hip length, again, same process. Select my hip length option, find my start point. And it's going to go ahead and calculate that information for me.
But that is not going to be done with the people who are out in the field. Is that correct? Or it is going to be done?
So as you can see, we can take all the measurements that we need, be it a takeoff or an aerial image, or if you had actually had a file photo of the property. The most important thing is setting the scale properly in order for our measurements to come out correctly. And then we can go ahead and take the measurements and take off of anything that we need. Again, the biggest advantage of doing it this way as opposed to a field inspection is that you have the ability to save time, create an estimate quickly based on this information. I'm going to, again, generate my report off of this as that PDF is generating for me here. And if I wanted to, I could attach this PDF file to my proposal when I'm creating it for my clients. Just like using Google Maps or the grid tool, you can attach all that information is going to feed into our measurement tables, so then we could then use that data to calculate our estimate in total. No need to double enter this data anywhere.
I didn't know if you wanted me to cover that with the managers. That's all. And the office. Okay.
Generating for me here. Once this is completed, we can go over to the next step.
Sure. Okay.
And we can see that all of our measurements are now in our tables here.
Yeah. So then it goes down to production training.
The last option for performing a takeoff within FCS is our grid tool.
There's going to be two production trainings. One is training the guys.
The system's asking me if I want to use previous measurements that were taken from a different inspection. In this case, I'm going to select no. Again, I'm going to select my direct drawing tool.
He's going to manage the jobs. He's going to set up the crews. He's going to make what people are available to what foreman kind of a thing. He's going to look at
1 second here. I'm going to select this one.
That
Erase all my previous data.
kind of dive into as far
Select my plot on grid option.
So we'll do two
And again, we have to set the scale. I want to let the system know that one of these grids blocks, I'm going to say, is 10 linear feet.
Okay.
Set my scale.
Okay.
Complete my setup. And again, I could start doing my takeoff if you'd like to use the grid option.
So
Start at
after
the corner,
line is cut off,
drop my point,
says training day 2.
start drawing out my roof as I would any other roof,
Anything that's leading up
add
to
my
training day
pitch.
2, that's going to be at least 2 days training right there with your team.
So again, the most important part is setting up the correct scale
Because
and then using our grid paper as we would a normal style grid paper to set everything up to get our measurements.
exactly, training
We
day
can,
2 is
again,
gonna be
capture that image
you and I will go through, and if you
and
want to
generate a
do
PDF report that we can give to our clients.
estimate, that's basically 2 levels here, overview, and then I have.
So that concludes our webinar on how to perform a takeoff within FCS Direct. If you have any questions or anything right now would be the time to go ahead and ask them. So I'm going to open it up to question and answer. Please feel free to use your chat option within the webinar itself.
Basically what it's intended for is full bids, and that's going to take some work. So this training day 2 would probably end up being broken out.
Yep. Yes, you can. You can enter, take a photo of a building or a sidewall and insert that into the system, set your scale, and you will be able to perform a takeoff on that. So if you wanted to do an image of the siding or gutters or any other aspect of the house, windows, doors, you could take images of that part of the building, insert into the tool. As long as you set the correct scale, you would then be able to perform a takeoff off of it and then get your measurements, and then using our templates within the application, actually perform an estimate for any part of the building. Great question. Thank you.
All right, so really, we're going to go through pretty much we're going to go through the whole.
Well, since there's no more questions coming up here, I want to thank everybody for their time today. Hopefully you found this information to be useful. If you have any questions or need more assistance, please feel free to contact our service department or shoot me an email, eugene.zakowski@fcscontrol.com. And please feel free to join us in 2 weeks for our next webinar on how to build templates within FCS Direct. Thank you again for your time today.